Picture this. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. The world around you is wrapped in a deep, peaceful silence. The birds are hours away from waking up, and your neighbors are drifting through wonderful dreams. But you are wide awake, staring blankly at your bedroom ceiling, listening to the agonizing tick of the wall clock. Your mind is racing like a sports car on a closed track. You calculate exactly how many hours of sleep you will get if you fall asleep right this second. 5 hours. Then, 40 minutes later, you check your phone again. Now it is 4 hours. Your anxiety spikes, and you are trapped in the exhausting cycle known as insomnia. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. In our modern society, sleep has become a luxury item. We buy expensive mattresses, track our sleep with smart rings, and swallow melatonin gummies like candy. Yet, despite all this advanced technology, millions of people report that they simply cannot sleep. We are arguably the most sleep-deprived generation in human history. But have you ever wondered if it was always this way? Did a hunter-gatherer 10,000 years ago lie awake in their cave, stressing about their social status in the tribe while desperately counting prehistoric sheep? Did medieval peasants toss and turn all night because they could not quiet their anxious thoughts? The short answer is absolutely not. For the vast majority of human existence, insomnia as we know it today practically did not exist. Our ancestors did not need sleep coaches or blackout curtains to drift off into deep, restorative rest. They just slept naturally. So, what happened? How did we transform one of the most fundamental, automated biological functions of our bodies into a nightly psychological battle? To understand that, we have to look at how we completely destroyed the ancient blueprint of human sleep. To understand how we broke our sleep, we first have to dismantle a major modern myth. Today, we are told the exact same rule. You must get 8 hours of continuous, uninterrupted sleep every single night. If you wake up in the middle of the night, we are told that something is wrong with us. We label it as middle of the night, insomnia, panic, and immediately check our phones. But history tells a completely different story. For our ancestors, sleeping in one solid 8-hour block was completely unnatural. In fact, before the late 19th century, humans practiced what historians call bifurcated sleep, or segmented sleep. Think about life before electricity. When the sun went down, darkness was absolute. There were no bright street lamps, no television screens, and no neon signs. Burning candles or oil lamps was expensive, so when night fell, people naturally went to bed quite early, usually around 8 or 9 in the evening, but they did not sleep straight through until morning. Instead, they would sleep for roughly 4 hours. Then, around midnight or 1 in the morning, they would naturally wake up. This was not a flaw in their biology. It was a completely normal feature. This period of wakefulness usually lasted for an hour or two. People did not panic, and they certainly did not lie in bed feeling stressed. They called this period the watching, or the first waking. What did they do during this midnight break? Anything they wanted. Some stayed in bed to pray or meditate. Writers noted their minds were exceptionally clear for deep reflection, while others checked on farm animals or visited neighbors for a quiet chat. It was also highly regarded as the best time for intimacy between couples, as bodies were rested but relaxed. After an hour or two of gentle activity, a wave of sleepiness would naturally wash over them again. They would return to bed for their second sleep, which lasted another 3 to 4 hours until dawn. Historian Roger E. Kirsch spent years researching this phenomenon and found thousands of references to first sleep and second sleep in old diaries, court records, and medical books dating back centuries. Even the famous characters in Charles Dickens's novels slept this way. It was the universal human standard. Our bodies are naturally hardwired to wake up in the middle of the night. But today, because we expect perfect, unbroken sleep, we interpret this natural awakening as a medical problem, creating anxiety that keeps us awake for the rest of the night. So, what destroyed this ancient, peaceful rhythm of two-part sleep? The answer is simple: Thomas Edison and the Industrial Revolution. Before the invention of the electric light bulb, the boundaries between day and night were non-negotiable. The sun dictated when you worked, and the moon dictated when you rested. Human biology was perfectly synchronized with the natural world. But the moment factories and homes were flooded with cheap, bright artificial light, everything changed overnight. Suddenly, humanity could conquer the darkness. Factory owners realized they no longer had to close their doors when the sun went down. They could run assembly lines 24 hours a day using night shifts. For workers, the evening was artificially extended. Instead of winding down at dusk, people could stay up late reading, socializing, and working under the bright glow of artificial lamps. This shifted our entire schedule forward. We began going to bed much later, but because the modern workday still started early in the morning, we could no longer afford the luxury of a 2-hour midnight break. There simply were not enough hours in the dark anymore. As a result, society forced a massive biological compromise. We compressed our natural 2-part sleep schedule into a single, forced 8-hour block. By the early 20th century, the concept of the first and second sleep had completely vanished from public consciousness. We forgot that our ancestors ever slept differently. But our biology did not forget. Your brain still operates on ancient software that expects a midnight pause. When your body naturally attempts to wake you up at 2 in the morning, you don't use that time to quietly reflect or look at the stars like a medieval peasant. Instead, you look at your smartphone. And that brings us to the most dangerous weapon against sleep ever created, the blue light screen. To understand why your smartphone is an absolute nightmare for your brain, we need to talk about a tiny, pinecone-shaped structure deep inside your head called the pineal gland. This little gland is responsible for producing melatonin, the hormone that signals to your body that it is time to sleep. For millions of years, the pineal gland relied on a very simple cue to do its job: the color of the sky. When the sun sets, the bright, blue-toned light of day fades away, replaced by the warm, amber glow of twilight and firelight. When your eyes perceive this shift from blue light to warm light, they notify the pineal gland, which immediately starts pumping melatonin into your bloodstream, making you feel heavy, warm, and drowsy. Now think about what happens when you lie in bed at night and pull out your smartphone to scroll through social media or watch videos. The display screens of our devices emit a massive amount of high-energy blue light that mimics the exact spectrum of the midday sun. When you stare into your phone in a dark room, you are essentially screaming at your brain, "It is noon! Look how bright the sun is! Stay alert! A predator might attack us." Your pineal gland gets completely confused and immediately stops production of melatonin. You are physically exhausting your body while chemically convincing your brain that it is daytime. Even worse, the content we consume on our phones is designed to maximize engagement. You aren't just looking at light. You are reading stressful news headlines, watching fast-paced videos, or checking work emails. This triggers the release of cortisol and adrenaline, the hormones of stress and alertness. Your ancestors faced stress from wild animals, but at least those animals went away at night. Our modern predators live inside our screens, and we invite them into our beds every single evening. The truth is, we cannot simply destroy our smartphones, turn off the electrical grid, and return to living in caves or medieval villages. We live in a fast-paced world that demands constant connectivity, but that does not mean we are destined to suffer from chronic insomnia forever. We can still reclaim our sleep by tricking our ancient biology into feeling safe and aligned. First, we need to change our psychological relationship with the night. If you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, stop fighting it. Stop tossing and turning while staring anxiously at the clock. Do what your ancestors did. Accept it as a normal biological pause. Get out of bed, leave your phone behind, and sit in a dimly lit room. Read a physical book, practice deep breathing, or simply listen to the silence of the night for 20 minutes. When you stop treating wakefulness as an emergency, your stress levels drop, and your body will naturally invite the second sleep back in. Second, we must create a digital sunset. 2 hours before you plan to close your eyes, dim the lights in your home. Switch off the overhead fluorescent bulbs and rely on warm lamps. Put your phone away, or at the very least, turn on a heavy orange night filter to block out the aggressive blue spectrum. Show your pineal gland that the sun is setting, and let your internal chemistry do the heavy lifting for you. Our ancestors did not possess magical sleep secrets or superior genetics. They simply lived in a world where human biology and the natural environment existed in perfect harmony. By understanding the ancient blueprint of how we were truly meant to rest, we can finally stop fighting the darkness and turn our bedrooms back into the sanctuaries of peace they were always meant to be.